With my horrible Irish accent. I'm really happy to be with you. Just I want to talk about what's happening in the Middle East and authoritarianism there. I think, first of all, we have to say that we have different levels of authoritarianism. When we are speaking of Turkey, we are not speaking of Egypt. So the different levels, there are a little different levels, but in the same way, there are all authoritarian regimes. The second thing, I'm going to put some controversial ideas, which I think I believe in them, that the region does not have a tradition of democracy and human rights. Even when she spoke about colonization, even before colonization, there was not a tradition of human rights, there was no tradition of democracy, etc. It's only later on, and even the dissidents that exist in post-colonial period, those dissidents, they didn't believe in democracy and human rights. In the 1960s and in the 1970s, they believed either in socialism or in pan-Arabism, etc., but they never believed in democracy and human rights. It's only the 80s and the 90s that the idea of democracy and human rights with civil society and with, pay attention, a certain interaction between the South and the North, civil society, that the idea of democracy has begun to merge and to become something believed in. And no more than about 3 decades that there was what you call the Arab Spring. Here, the Arab Spring, we have to pay attention to something, that democracy and human rights for these people is always linked with social justice. There is no democracy without a certain social justice, and that's what people believed in. They believed that these corrupt regimes, they are going to go away, and they are going to give place to certain new regimes that are not corrupt, that believe in democracy, that believe in regional equalities, that believe in a certain dignity, human dignity, which is something very important there. Now, what happened later on, of course, you know what is happening. I'm not going to indicate on that, but you know that these regimes, these authoritarian regimes, they are based. They have 3 cornerstones. The first thing is the army and the security forces. The second thing is the judicial system, and the third thing is the support from other countries, from outside countries. And you remember last year, in 2017, when the Foreign Secretary of State has said clearly, of the United States has said clearly, that human rights should sit in the back seat. Now, our priorities are what? Economic interests, and second, the security of the United States. That's something important. And that's to give a laissez-passer for those regimes to do whatever they like. Remember that when Sisi went to the United States, Trump said, this is an extraordinary guy, he's doing a great job, and the relationship between the United States and Egypt has never been so good as they are now. Now, this to give a carte blanche to Sisi to continue. You know that Sisi now, hundreds of people are journalists, of human rights activists. He started with the Muslim Brotherhood in the coup of 2013, and in one day, in a massacre, there were 813 people who were dead. The Human Rights Watch called that the most catastrophic human rights abuse that has existed so far in history. And the excuse that he has, there are 2 excuses. First of all, this guy, as Trump called him, is fighting 2 things really which the West thinks they are very dangerous. First of all, extremism, and second, migration. Of course, this is the idea that Trump has, and this is the idea that the West now have in support of all those who are authoritarian in region. Now, when speaking of Turkey, you have another thing. Probably it's a different type of authoritarianism. It's because the first it's often referred to authoritarian stability, because they think it guarantees the stability in the country. In Turkey, it's a bit different. In Turkey, you know what happened in 2016. You know the coup. You know how how Erdogan used it, etc. The number. There were about 24,000 civil servants who have left their job. There were hundreds of journalists that have been arrested. There were many people. And also, he has got this intelligence to play on East-West relationship with Iran, with Russia, and with other Western countries, showing at the same time his Islamic belief to groups, you know, among them Muslim Brotherhood, that is the image of particular Islam. Now, what I like to say in the last minute is this. Now we come a long way from a certain idea where there is absence of democracy to the belief in democracy and human rights and social justice. Europe is the opposite. It has no institutions, democratic states, etc. But we are coming a long way across each other because we are now look where Europe is going to. It's going to the extreme right. It's going to some kind of authoritarian regimes. Now, which the conclusion I'd like to say is that unless we put our hands together in order to fight this type of authoritarianism, both in this, because globalization means something important to these capitalists, to this financial institution, but it should mean also something important to us, people who believe in, first of all, that migration is not so as dangerous as they show it, and second thing, in order to fight extremist ideas, you have to have a resilient state that has got, first of all, that believes in democracy, that is down-rooted in institutions, and that believes in social justice, in certain social justice. But just to add just one thing, is this fight going to lead us somewhere? I think, not to be pessimistic, but in the short run, this is going to be difficult. Look at the pronostics of the European parliamentary elections, and you'll see that things are going rather to the right. I remember the last thing, I remember a French sarcastic humorist who was called Coluche. He said, La France va mieux. Non, pas mieux que l'année dernière, mais mieux que l'année prochaine. And this is very sarcastic as here to say, if we don't stop these things, if we don't try to do something about this, then things are going to go from bad to worse. And this is our responsibility to do so and to stop this trend, whether in the east or on the west, whether in the north or in the south. Thank you.